Hey everyone, it's Bassima. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm a certified life and productivity coach. Today's video is all about how to plan out your schedule so that it's super productive as a new freelancer entrepreneur. This is video number 2 in my series on productivity tips for new freelancers and entrepreneurs. I've also included a checklist into this video that you can grab right down below. It's my top tips to keep aware of in order to make sure that your schedule is both productive and realistic and achievable. It's going to be super awesome to use when creating your schedule, and that's going to help you keep up with a consistent flow of productivity. If you like this video, hit that like and subscribe button down below. Let's get right into tip number 1 to making your schedule actually productive. Many of us enter the world of freelancing and entrepreneurship because we want that flexibility, we want that time freedom, and we want to be in control of our schedule. But oftentimes what that leads to is that we don't actually have consistency within our schedule. So that's something that I struggled with at the beginning and many of my clients struggle with. You have those 3 days where you're super consistent and then you fall off track, and then you have to restart the week and re-find your motivation week by week. The question is, how do you make sure that you're spending your time productively? Actually make planning a task. Have a set day within your week where you sit down and get your planning done. I go into this a little bit more in my video that I'll link above here, which is how to master your priorities. But the point of this is to make sure that it becomes a non-negotiable for you, because the most essential thing that you're going to need as a new freelancer and entrepreneur to really decrease your overwhelm and not to feel like your focus is shifting on so many different things is to make sure that you decide on what your weekly goals are before you actually start your week. Spending anywhere from a couple of minutes to an hour or two deciding on what it is that you want to achieve for the week so that you really have that direction. This should be your first stepping stone before going ahead to plan out your days and jumping into any other action steps, is figuring out what are the most important things that you should accomplish for that week. The next thing that you want to do is to make sure that you're thinking big picture. I can't count the amount of times that my clients or I've said that I didn't have enough time to do what I wanted to do because this or that came up. And the reason why all these things are consistently coming up is because we don't take them into account in our schedule. So really, to make sure that your schedule is the most realistic and achievable for you, you need to ensure that you're thinking big picture. So you're not only working on your freelancing tasks and your entrepreneurship tasks, you have a whole life outside of that, and you really want to make sure that you're including all of that within your schedule. So that can look like your chores, your errands, your work tasks, your exercise, your outings. It can even look like any rewards that you want to give yourself for completing some of your tasks and your breaks. So really making sure having that big picture planned out is going to make sure that you're allocating a realistic amount of time to everything and that you're including everything so that you're not consistently dealing with unexpected things that are always popping into your schedule. Now, tip number 3 is to set the amount of hours that you want to dedicate to your freelancing and business every single day. Go by what you know is achievable for you and not what everyone else is telling you that you should be doing as a new freelancer entrepreneur. So I know there's tons of people out there that are telling you to wake up at 5 a.m., work those 12 hours. But if you're not able to stick to that at the beginning, then that's not what you should be doing. So really ask yourself at the beginning, what is the number of hours that I can dedicate to my freelancing or entrepreneurship tasks every single day that is realistic and achievable and that I can actually stick to. And you can eventually build on that if that's what you want to do. But start slow and start with an amount that you can actually commit to, because that's what's going to allow you to gain that consistency and actually have a productive schedule where you actually do get the things done that you're setting within your schedule. Now, tip number 4 is one of the most important points that I think we tend to forget as new entrepreneurs and freelancers, and it's really not to any fault of our own. But often it's because we have this idea that a successful entrepreneur or freelancer is working 12-hour days and is being super productive by the amount of hours that they're working. But really what you want to do with tip number 4 is to work smart. Don't be busy for the sake of being busy. Figure out what are the tasks that are going to be the most beneficial to your business or your freelancing and focus on those. So this can look like prospecting, building your email list, kind of book strategy calls, really doing the things that are going to help you make that progress that you want to make. Instead of dividing your attention on so many different things that are just going to cause you to be more overwhelmed and not feel accomplished at the end of the day. Tip number 5 is time blocking. Now, this can be a bit challenging at first because you don't really yet know how much time different things are going to take you, but start by at least time blocking your work tasks so that you can get a realistic picture of how much time these tasks take you. Try to ditch the overambitiousness at the beginning, because what you're going to notice is as the weeks go by, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to work so much more to get the tasks done, but you're going to be able to get more done within the time span that you've already set for yourself. And that's ultimately your goal. Another thing is to really figure out when you're most productive within your day, because this is when you're going to want to allocate your more challenging, out of your comfort zone, new tasks to your most productive time of your day, because you have the most energy, you're the most awake then, you can take on those tasks. If you don't know this yet, take some time to actually test this out and try out different times of the day and see how you feel in terms of energy, productivity, focus, and you can start to incorporate your more challenging tasks within those time slots throughout your day. Tip number 6 is a slightly difficult one, but I think it's super important in ensuring that you do have an overall productive schedule. It's to allow yourself some grace, especially when starting out, because oftentimes if you feel like you're a perfectionist, you're gonna want to consistently redo certain tasks over and over before putting them out there. You don't know how much time a lot of your tasks are gonna take you, and that's something that can really affect your productivity and consistency at the beginning. Giving yourself some grace will really allow you to take this as a learning experience, which it should be, to just make that learning curve slightly easier on yourself. You will get better and better at the things that you're doing with time, and you just really need to give yourself that grace so that you can stick to this long enough to actually see the progress that you're gonna make. So that's tip number 6. I know it can be challenging, but really try doing this at the beginning, and it really will lead you to a more productive schedule that you will tend to stick to more long term. Last tip is probably one of the biggest mistakes I made when starting out freelancing and entrepreneurship. That's because oftentimes you don't have the answers to a lot of the things that you're working on, and you tend to feel like if you just read more books, listen to more podcasts, take more courses, then eventually you'll find the answer. So what you want to do when planning out your schedule at the beginning is making sure that you have at least equal parts learning to applying. I would say even more so in terms of applying, but when starting out, it's a good balance to have equal parts in terms of learning and then applying. The clarity is going to come through the action and not thinking your way there. And I heard this multiple times, yet I never implemented it. But once I did, I finally felt like I was starting to gain traction. You can see what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and you're going to be able to gain that clarity much faster that way. I hope you found these tips helpful. I'd love to hear down below in the comments section what you feel is currently missing from your schedule that's affecting your productivity and your consistency. And also, if you're looking for some tangible steps that you can take and tips to include when actually planning out your schedule for maximum productivity, then you can grab my checklist down below in the description box, and that's for sure going to help you out. I'll catch you in the next video of this series, which is all about task batching, how it can increase your productivity. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a happy, healthy, and productive week.